The crisis of the 3rd century was a period of profound instability for the Roman Empire, spanning roughly from 235 to 284 CE. This era was marked by a series of internal and external challenges that nearly led to the collapse of the empire. There were over 20 different emperors during this period, each ruling for short, tumultuous tenures, frequently ending in assassination or military overthrow. The crisis was driven by several factors: rampant political instability, severe economic decline, widespread military defeats, and social upheaval. The significance of understanding the crisis of the 3rd century in the context of Diocletian's rise and the Battle of the Margus lies in the transformative nature of Diocletian's reign. By comprehending this period of crisis, one appreciates why Diocletian's reforms were both necessary and revolutionary. Diocletian's rise to power marked the beginning of the stabilization of the empire and a shift towards an autocratic and bureaucratic rule aimed at resolving the crises of the 3rd century. Specific examples illustrating the crisis include the frequent incursions by barbarian tribes across the Roman borders, such as the Goths and the Franks, and the empire's struggles against the Sassanid Empire in the east. Additionally, extreme inflation and debasement of currency crippled the Roman economy, as evidenced by the severe devaluation of the denarius, which increasingly eroded public trust and economic stability. Opinions supporting the significance of understanding this crisis highlight the view that drastic reformative measures were crucial for the survival of the Roman Empire. Proponents argue that without recognizing and addressing the underlying issues from the 3rd century, the continuation of the empire in any form would have been in jeopardy. However, there are controversies and challenges associated with this period. Some historians argue that the chaos of the crisis of the 3rd century has been overstated, or that the reforms enacted by Diocletian were too authoritative, leading to a loss of senatorial power and increased bureaucracy that transformed the empire into a rigid autocracy. Understanding this crisis is crucial, as it directly influenced other aspects of Diocletian's rule. His reforms, including the establishment of the Tetrarchy and economic stabilization efforts, were driven by an urgent need to prevent further fragmentation and decline. These actions ultimately redefined the structure and governance of the Roman Empire, paving the way for its continuation in different forms for centuries to come. Before delving into the Battle of the Margus and Diocletian's rise to power in 285 CE, it is crucial to understand the backdrop of the Roman Empire during this tumultuous period. The Roman Empire, by the mid-3rd century CE, was a vast and complex entity encountering significant internal and external challenges, commonly referred to as the crisis of the 3rd century. This was a period marked by political instability, economic decline, and military defeats, which saw the rapid turnover of emperors, with some reigning for only a few months before being usurped or assassinated. This period witnessed a severely fractured empire with multiple claimants to the throne, frequent civil wars, and external invasions from Germanic tribes and Persia. The significance of this chaotic backdrop cannot be understated. It set the stage for Diocletian's ascent, as it highlighted the desperate need for strong and effective leadership to unify and stabilize the empire. The political disarray during this time underscored the inefficacy of prior leaders in addressing the multifaceted crises besieging Rome, thus setting the stage for Diocletian to implement sweeping reforms post-battle aimed at restoring order and efficiency. For instance, Diocletian would later establish the Tetrarchy, a novel form of government that divided power among 4 rulers, an innovative yet controversial strategy to manage the unwieldy empire. Additionally, Diocletian's economic reforms, such as attempts to curb inflation through the Edict on Maximum Prices, stemmed from the economic turmoil of the preceding years. Supporters of Diocletian's reforms argue that his decisive actions were necessary to bring about stability and longevity to the Roman state, effectively transforming Roman governance and mitigating the empire's decline. However, criticisms persist over the Tetrarchy's inherent complexities and the eventual civil conflicts it sparked, revealing that while Diocletian provided temporary reprieve, deeper issues remained unresolved. This background intricately connects to Diocletian's reign post-battle, as it highlights both the grave challenges he inherited and the immediate necessity for comprehensive reform. Diocletian's ability to rise above this chaos at the Battle of the Margus not only reshaped Rome's internal political landscape, but also presaged significant administrative and military reforms. This historical context allows us to appreciate the extent of transformation ushered in by Diocletian's leadership, marking a definitive turning point that profoundly influenced the latter history of the Roman Empire. The rise and ambitions of Diocletian refers to the early period of Diocletian's ascent to power and the driving forces behind his pivotal decisions. Diocletian, originally named Gaius Aurelius Valerius Diocletianus, emerged as a significant figure in Roman history following the Battle of the Margus in 285 CE, where he defeated the usurper Carinus. His rise marks a critical point in Roman history as it paved the way for the establishment of the Tetrarchy, a transformative restructuring of the Roman Empire that aimed to restore stability after years of internal chaos and external threats. Diocletian's significance lies in his innovative approach to governance. He recognized the unsustainability of centralizing power in the vast Roman Empire and introduced the Tetrarchy, effectively dividing the empire into 4 regions, each ruled by a co-emperor or Augustus and a deputy Caesar. This system not only curbed the empire's frequent succession crises, but also fortified its defenses against invasions. One illustration of his ambitions is the economic reforms he enacted. He introduced measures to curb inflation and stabilize the currency, such as the Edict on Maximum Prices, aimed at setting price ceilings on goods and services throughout the empire. Furthermore, Diocletian's military reforms reorganized the Roman legions and increased their flexibility, enhancing the empire's responsiveness to threats. Supporters of Diocletian's vision argue that his reforms were necessary to preserve the empire's integrity during a period of profound turmoil. His emphasis on administrative efficiency and regional oversight is credited with extending the life of a declining empire. However, Diocletian faced challenges, including resistance to his economic policies, which were difficult to enforce and sometimes even counterproductive. Controversies surrounding Diocletian's rule often focus on his severe persecution of Christians, which some historians view as indicative of autocratic tendencies. Additionally, his autocratic style has been criticized for laying groundwork that later emperors exploited for more despotic control. Diocletian's rise and ambitions crucially interconnected with the broader narrative of the Roman Empire's evolution. His reforms addressed immediate concerns, but also set precedents for future governance. By decentralizing power, he stabilized the empire temporarily, influencing not only his immediate successors, but also the eventual emergence of the Byzantine Empire. His era illustrates how leadership and vision can transform crises into periods of relative stability and renewal. The strategic significance of the Margus River during the Battle of the Margus in 285 CE is a pivotal element that underscores the geopolitical and military dynamics of this historical event, resulting in Diocletian's ascension as Roman emperor. The Margus River, known today as the Morava, runs through the Balkans, providing a natural boundary that was strategically vital for controlling movements and defending territories in the Roman Empire. It acted as a geographical barrier that was beneficial for defensive maneuvers and supplied water resources necessary for sustaining armies. The Margus River's strategic placement made it a critical factor in the battle where Diocletian, a Roman military commander, defeated Carinus, the then co-emperor. The victory at this serene yet strategic river heralded Diocletian's reign, marking a new era for the Roman Empire, characterized by profound administrative, military, and economic reforms. These reforms effectively strengthened the empire and led to enduring stability known as the dominate phase of Roman imperial rule. One specific example illustrating the Margus River's strategic importance is its role as a defensive line, offering physical protection against invading forces. River barriers like the Margus have historically been natural deterrents against enemy advances, giving defenders a considerable advantage by forcing adversaries to confront logistic and tactical challenges when attempting to cross. Additionally, controlling the river's banks provided significant leverage, enabling forces to monitor and regulate trade and communication routes critical for maintaining power and influence in the region. Support for the strategic relevance of natural geographic features like the Margus comes from historians who emphasize the importance of terrain in shaping military outcomes. They argue that control over key geographic landmarks often dictates the success or failure of military campaigns, highlighting their integral role in historical victories and defeats. However, challenges and alternative viewpoints exist. Some historians might argue that while geographic elements were important, the leadership qualities of Diocletian or Carinus's unpopularity were more crucial in determining the battle's outcome. Moreover, the significance of the Margus as merely a tactical advantage could be contested by those who believe that broader political and social factors played a dominant role. The strategic importance of the Margus River in this battle can't be underestimated, as it directly influenced the course of Roman history. It serves as a reminder of how geography can interplay with leadership and strategy to shape historical narratives, highlighting the multifaceted elements that contribute to events like the rise of Diocletian as Roman emperor.